Total War Warhammer 3 had a rough launch. Rough enough that the tutorial was the best part of the game, and no, that's sadly not a joke. The tutorial mini-campaign genuinely felt more polished and more coherent than whatever the February 2022 version of the Realms of Chaos was trying to be. It's honestly kind of wild looking at the game we have today and remembering just how poorly it all started. Now normally, this is where the music swells and I start talking about how the game's redemption arc got started, but not with Warhammer 3. At least not yet. Instead, we got almost 2 years of the game drunkenly stumbling around, occasionally doing something brilliant just to remind everyone about how much potential was being wasted, and then immediately running face first into a wall again. This downward spiral eventually culminated with Shadows of Change in August 2023, a DLC so overpriced, so undercooked, and so universally disliked that it finally set off the fire alarm inside Creative Assembly, and, ironically enough, actually foreshadowed some change. It took a while for something to materialize, but finally, in February 2024, Warhammer 3 got its turning point. CA pushed out a massive update that stuffed a ton of new content into Shadows of Change and unbelievably actually made the DLC worthwhile. I remember this being an especially hopeful time as the next DLC, Thrones of Decay, dropped in April 2024 with a chunky free update, and both of them were good. No buts, no ifs, they were just straight up good. And the players noticed. April's update more than doubled the player numbers compared to the entire previous year. Jump ahead to December 2024 and we get Omens of Destruction. Not mind-blowing, not terrible, but definitely a step in the right direction. And then, unfortunately, things get weird again. Because right as momentum was finally building, CA just stopped. For an entire year. And that's not an exaggeration, that's a real, actual year without any notable additions. Mostly just reworks and tweaks, which are nice, don't get me wrong, but they don't hit quite the same. The next major piece of content wouldn't show up until December 2025 with Tides of Torment, which, while somewhat flawed, tried to do something unique and interesting, which I do really like. I especially love the mask's intro animation. Whoever made that, hats off to you. It's so unbelievably creepy and really well fitting, and it's all for a free character. And instead of diving back into their timeout box again, this time around, CA actually kept the ball rolling. Players who own Warhammer 1 and 2 now get access to the absurdly massive Immortal Empires combined campaign map for free. Now to be fair, it's kinda like a dealer giving you a free hit to get you hooked, but it is still a nice gesture. But you know who's not nice? The big bad Bone Daddy himself, Nagash, who CA announced, very quickly mind you, will be the focus of Warhammer 3's The End Times update in summer 2026, along with Neferata, the Vampire Counts, and a pile of still mysterious goodies. And the big twist is that despite the name, this actually isn't Warhammer 3's big finale. Instead, it seems to be an opportunity to really beef up the late game crises and throw every fan favorite character into the meat grinder. Or, well, bone grinder anyway. And so, after nearly 4 years of chaos, misfires, and the occasional miracle, Warhammer 3 seems to have finally found its footing. It's not a perfect game, not by a long shot, and we will get into those cracks in a moment, but it is genuinely fascinating to look at just how far the game has come in these 4 years. So let's talk about Warhammer 3 as it exists today. As you would expect from a game with 2 wars in the title, Total War Warhammer 3 is all about smashing your favorite little toys together. Everything else, from the city building to the research and diplomacy, is there to pace out the carnage and to stop you from instantly summoning 20 giant dinosaurs. Not that that ever stopped me. And unsurprisingly, this part of the game is insanely fun. The game wrings every last drop of flavor out of the Warhammer setting, making each faction, and sometimes even sub-faction, feel genuinely unique. I mean, sure, on paper a spearman is a spearman, whether it's a bearded dude with a pointy stick or a half-naked lunatic with an oversized back scratcher. But once you're in the fight, all of that just kind of fades away. What you're left with is awesome moments like knights yeeting skeletons 30 meters away during a charge, minotaurs doing cartwheels through infantry ranks, and general mayhem that just never gets old. This sort of thing extends to the campaign map as well. It is the most detailed, beautiful strategy map I have ever seen, in a genre that really doesn't need it. We didn't need a dinosaur beach episode or a dragon skeleton turned into a waterfall. It could have just been a simple world map like in Crusader Kings or Civilization and nobody would have cared. But CA did care, and so they crafted a world that is just a pleasure to paint over with your faction's colors. At least at the very start anyway, because Warhammer 3 has a bit of a difficulty problem. Once you survive the nasty early game, the part where getting tag teamed by 50,000 rats can just straight up end your run, the challenge just kind of evaporates. The AI can vomit out armies out of every orifice, swarm you from literally every side, maybe even win a fight or two. But once your empire stabilizes, it is very hard, almost impossible to actually lose. And to be fair, every strategy game does eventually hit this tipping point. The problem is that in Warhammer 3, you hit it way too early. Some DLC lords especially turn into unkillable demigods by turn 40, turning the rest of the campaign into a glorified victory lap. Thankfully, this problem with difficulty is, ironically enough, not actually very difficult to resolve, and it is all thanks to Gaben's greatest gift to gaming as a whole, and that is the Steam Workshop. Warhammer 3's modding community is absurdly prolific. If something annoys you, there's probably 3 serious mods and at least 2 memes trying to fix it. My personal favorite, and the one I would recommend you use after your first few runs, is Tabletop Caps Reborn, a very simple mod that forces you to use varied army compositions, and more importantly, forces the AI to stop making armies made entirely out of obnoxious, stupid-ass units like chariots. For such a basic mod, it really does massively improve the experience, even though you will still hit that point where you become so strong that the only thing that can really stop you is you yourself getting bored from winning constantly. There are also mods that overhaul the gameplay entirely, but honestly I never felt the need. The very core of Warhammer 3 works wonderfully. It's basically rock, paper, scissors with someone occasionally throwing in an eldritch horror. Essentially, guys with pointy sticks counter monsters, monsters eat guys with swords, and guys with swords bully the stickmen. Now archers, cavalry, and artillery do mix up the formula a bit, but it's all very simple to understand and very fun to play around with. And unlike the campaign AI, which relies heavily on cheats to be merely mediocre, the battle AI is mostly competent. It will punish your sloppy play, it will outflank you if you're not paying attention, and it will absolutely force you to use that brain box of yours when the odds are truly stacked against you. And that is where Warhammer 3 really shines. When you're outnumbered, outmatched, and desperately trying to squeeze every ounce of value from units you wouldn't normally touch. That, for example, is how I came to love Warhounds. Those poppers die to a stiff breeze and cannot duel anything, so I'm gonna be honest, I ignored them for many years. Until I learned that if you throw them in the right spot at the right time, they'll chew through more enemies than even heavy cavalry. So now I always try to include a unit or two as a little wildcard. And it's moments like these that make the battles so much fun, even long term. I've been with the series for over a decade at this point, and I am still excited to dive back in, replay old campaigns, and experiment with all sorts of crazy army compositions. What I'm not excited about are the sieges. It's not that they're not fun, though that is definitely a part of it, but they just don't work properly. The AI always loses its mind trying to navigate the maze-like streets, which eventually results in most of their army just taking a vacation and kinda standing around. The pathfinding is also a mess. Units will randomly break formation and slowly start stretching out into spaghetti if you don't stop them. And getting your troops to simply use a gate feels harder than giving a cat a bath. But even if CA patched every bug and the AI worked flawlessly, sieges would still suck as the core mechanics are just kinda messy. Apparently, every unit carries a spare ladder tucked between their butt cheeks, so siege engines are seen about as frequently as freshly washed Skaven. And defending the walls, the big iconic set pieces of any siege ever, is a complete trap. The walls offer less protection and utility than just camping in a random alley and waiting for the enemy to walk into your blender. The end result is a big, janky, messy pile of frustration, which really is a shame. I would love to relive that moment from the original Dwarf trailer, fighting in front of the city with artillery and gunners lining the wall behind me. Now that would be the dream. But despite all the problems, the weird decisions, and all of the times CA tried really hard to test my patience, I still keep coming back to Warhammer 3. Why? Because there is literally nothing else like it. No other game lets me go from flattening orcs with dinosaurs riding even bigger dinosaurs, to playing as a short, perpetually angry people with a superiority complex and a rather unhealthy relationship with artillery, and then have people ask me to clarify which ones I mean exactly. So if you're wondering whether Warhammer 3 is worth playing 4 years later, I would say that's an easy yes. It's not perfect, not even close, and it will occasionally make you want to headbutt your screen, but all of that becomes background noise the moment you start commanding a swarm of rats armed with nuclear weapons. At that point, you are far too busy cackling to even care. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, a like and a sub would help me out a lot, and I do hope to see you again soon. Bye bye!